What's up, guys? We've got another one here from Manosphere Daily. Why men aged 25 to 35 are having an existential crisis right now. Let's get into it.
I would consider myself a political commentator, and I would consider myself somebody who comments on men's rights issues because nobody else seems to care. Nobody else seems to care that men commit more suicide, men are more homeless, men are the ones who are struggling in society today. We have no mental health support. Even if you look at something as simple as cancer, breast cancer gets all the funding, prostate cancer, nobody cares. Men are here to die, pay taxes, nobody cares about us, nobody cares about our feelings, and then they sit and say, oh yeah, men are depressed. So I don't know who the manosphere are, but I am a man, and I will tell my story of how I live the best possible experience of being a man, and I'll help as many men as possible, and I'll highlight the difficulties that men go through, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Andrew Tate is not wrong. I mean, that was total truth right there, and no point in repeating what he said. I'll just add that when men dare to speak up, they get told to man up or deal with it. Maybe if men could show feelings without getting slammed, we'd see a drop in those sky-high male self-deletion rates. But hey, carry on, right? Just don't be surprised when we decide to stop playing the game.
This is the thing I hear from all women nowadays. We're all the masculine men. I'll tell you, the second you meet them, you run and hide.
Because they don't want to sacrifice a part within themselves, so that would require them to show up.
Men are not willing to give up their commitment for somebody that is still committed to other things. And women need to really understand that, is that it's not easy to be with a real man. Most women say they want a high-value alpha male. They don't. They've been trained to want men that lie to their face, and that needs to be challenged.
Yeah, where are all the masculine men? They act like they don't immediately hit the eject button when they find one. I mean, look, a strong man is a mirror, and most people don't want to look that close. Modern women have been groomed to prefer guys who lie to their faces rather than a man who asks for a real commitment. They want the alpha until he shows up with boundaries and integrity. And so let's stop pretending it's not that there aren't any strong men, it's that most aren't ready for what comes with a strong man.
This guy's 24 years old and has been on Tinder 128 days. He swiped 59,760 times, which is the equivalent of swiping 467 times a day. So he's definitely paying for gold. He only swiped right 183 times, which means he swiped right on 99.97% of people. So I really don't want to know what those 0.03% look like. Out of those 59,577 right swipes, he got 342 matches, which for a guy on Tinder isn't even that bad. So for every girl that swiped right on him, 173 swiped left. Those 342 matches led to 162 chats, but he got 0 dates. What I'm trying to say is Tinder is a fucking scam. Save your money, boys.
I've read this story too, but yeah, Mr. Tinder running numbers like a Vegas slot machine. I mean, almost 59,800 swipes, 340 matches and 0 dates. I mean, for the uninitiated, that's what we call Tinder math. The app promises love but delivers ghost towns and disappointment, and this is why the poor guy paid for a VIP ticket to nowhere. Dating apps aren't about love or connections. They're about keeping you swiping and paying. After all, how else are they going to make money for the bottom line if they match you up with somebody and then you're gone? Save your time and cash. Tinder's not here to help. It's here to milk you dry.
Is dating today, in your opinion, harder than it's ever been?
I was friends with my boyfriend before we started dating, and I feel like that's a more natural transition than like seeing features on your screen and trying to make a decision based on like a list of things.
People just try and avoid things because I think they're scared to say things straight up.
One red flag and you're kind of like, oh, I could go find somewhere else. You don't need to have one person when you could have like 5.
Honestly, I don't know. I've had really bad luck. So everything. Like, I've been treated like shit.
I think a big part of it is because of social media.
People see a lot, they exposed to a lot. They're always looking for better, 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 better.
Everyone is always looking for the best thing and they always think something else is around the corner and you almost have too much access to too many people.
Dating today is a choose your own adventure disaster. You guys remember those books when we were kids, the choose your own adventure books? I mean, that's what dating is. We're swiping based on a pre-filtered pick and collecting backup options like Pokemon cards. One red flag and we're on to the next. Everyone's always looking for an upgrade, like we're luxury cars or the new iPhone model. Social media has convinced people that relationships are endless options and not commitments. And with so many options, everyone's got one foot out the door. And too much choice isn't freeing, it's paralyzing.
To be honest, I'd rather just be a little lonelier than deal with all the hassle of dating. I'm really not in a place emotionally and financially where I can deal with sorting through a bunch of misses to find a missus. Nowadays, with dating apps, there's always something new and more exciting just around the corner. So many women I've dated have abruptly broken things off because they found something more exciting. Dating is like taking on a part-time job. I don't have the time or the energy. I'm sure all of you can relate to that. Social media, Hollywood, and porn have really altered the expectations of the general public across the board when looking for a mate. It's actually really messed up psychologically when a person thinks about it. Specifically, unrealistic expectations are held by people who conveniently hold themselves to extremely low standards but feel entitled to the best. More specifically, unrealistic expectations are held by people who act like victims when they're confronted with equally high expectations.
Dating today is like working a part-time job with none of the benefits. I mean, why bother when you're competing with everyone's latest instant thirst trap or some Hollywood-fueled fantasy? Expectations have skyrocketed, but standards still rock bottom. People want the perfect partner without being anywhere near perfect themselves. Guys are just over it. Why waste time and money searching for the one when you can find peace being on your own? I know people say you should multi-date instead of dating one person at a time if you're not in an exclusive relationship. I get it, have at it if that's what you want to do. No judgment, and unfortunately for many of us do not have the time to do that. I know when I was out looking, I didn't have the time. I was too busy being on my grind. It's like, for me, if I talked to you, I knew pretty quick if there was going to be a first date or not. And at that first date, you could say I was watching every little thing like an FBI person profiling somebody. I mean, red flags are always there. It's just a matter of what flags are you willing to deal with and what flags were a deal breaker. A 30-minute Starbucks date pretty much told me everything I needed to know if you were going to get a second date or if I was moving on to the next. Needless to say, in the West, I wasn't successful, which is why I started looking abroad. Not just for a relationship, but also looking to become an expat, and that's just kind of how everything worked out for me. Still working on the expat part, I just got the relationship first. Anyways, next.
The one thing that makes men extraordinarily irresistible to women, being masculine, it's when they have created a relationship with their humanity where they do not reject it.
And how do they do that?
To be a masculine man means to be connected with your very humanity and integrated towards the masculine ideal, which is to have the ability to protect, to have the ability to provide as you are.
So to essentially surrender.
There's a lot of surrender in that process, and it's because you're taking your humanity, your faults, your insecurities, and then you're integrating it towards the ideal of protecting and providing at the highest level possible, making you a kind individual. That is what women find irresistible.
So apparently the ultimate masculine man package is when he's grounded in his humanity, which really means he's got his life together and can protect and provide. The kicker is he's actually kind. But ladies, that's what you claim you want, but being kind and capable doesn't mean being a pushover. Men with their act together aren't here for the drama, they're here to build. Maybe it's time to redefine what you're looking for because he's not waiting around.
Do you feel proud of yourself for debating college kids who are unprepared to speak in front of an audience like yourself? You're 30 years old. Do you think that's a little bit silly?
Are you a voter?
I am a voter. I'm a registered voter.
I vote and you vote. So I'm talking to voters of this country that will determine the future of Western civilization. That's what I'm doing here today. Is there something wrong with talking to voters?
No, there's nothing wrong with talking.
Well, that's what we're doing here today. It's an open mic.
I think that you push a dangerous agenda.
Let me just ask you one thing though, because personal insults can fly in all directions. But I want to hear from you one substantive area where you have an authentic disagreement, and I'd be glad to address it. I'm sure Charlie would too.
I don't think you're focusing on substance though. That's the issue.
Hold on. Look, he intentionally tried to provoke substance out of you.
You're purposely antagonizing people on campus, asking people to come up by spreading your weird agenda.
How?
I like Charlie Kirk. I mean, these people that go up to debate him are doing so on their own free will, trying to push whatever agenda or thought that they're having. But whatever. I mean, debating college kids is like dunking on toddlers at a basketball game and calling yourself Michael Jordan. It just shows the state of our education system. I hear about this almost every day from my daughter when she comes home from university and how messed up it is. Anyways, next.
The only women that are struggling to find a partner are ones that are actually wife material. You speak to a woman who has no intention of settling down, who is very good at, performing sexual acts and stuff. She has no problem meeting men. She's constantly surrounded by men. So it's just the message that men are giving online is that they want good women and stuff, but it's not in line with their behavior. And I just wish there was more honesty about what you truly want out of a woman.
It's funny how wife material is single while hookup queens have a waiting list. Guys online do scream that they want a good woman, but actions tell other stories. Many tend to go for the flashy short-term stuff and ignore the substance. But what I want to know is how much of that is false advertisement from the woman, or how much is it from Beta Bob chasing 304s thinking he's going to be the one to change her? Just a little thought there.
She's going to beg and say, please forgive me, but the reality is we don't want the man that forgives us. We really don't. We want the man that says, you had your chance, it's been a pleasure, I wish you the best, because that's a man we respect.
Ah, yes, the "oh, please forgive me" routine. It's classic. Guys are done falling for it. Men are figuring out that respect isn't bought with apologies, it's earned with boundaries. When a woman says they want a man who respects himself enough to walk away, but when he does, suddenly he's the bad guy. I'll take respect, as many men would, and leave the begging at the door.
You think I need you. It's like, I don't think so. I think you need me. And if you don't want me around anymore, we'll see who needs who.
Jordan Peterson with the final word. You think I need you? I like that. Relationships today have flipped into this weird power struggle where everyone's playing hard to get and trying to one-up each other emotionally. The moment you need someone less than they need you, that's when they actually want you. It's wild, but it's the game people are playing now. It's kind of crazy. I'd rather live in a Mad Max era than living in this dating and relationship wasteland where social media, inflated egos, and endless choices make commitment look like a joke. Men are realizing that there's nothing wrong with going their own way, especially when dating seems like a raw deal for them. From fake alpha males to unrealistic standards, people are sabotaging real connections. What's the fix? I guess stop the illusions and the hype, be honest with what you want, and expect the same in return. People traded a bit of social media time for real life connections. We might actually remember how to be humans. Everyone has free will and our actions have consequences, and sometimes the outcome is good and sometimes it's bad. In the end, we have nobody to blame but ourselves for the choices that we make. Guys, keep working on yourself. Keep your mind clear, work on your money, work on your grind, your body, your health. So tell me, guys, do you think dating apps have destroyed real connections, or is it just the people that's using them? And besides the obvious red flags that we all talk about, what's the one red flag that makes you say no to someone? Because I know we all have that deal breaker. That may not be a deal breaker to me, but it could be a deal breaker to you. I'd be interested to hear what everybody's thoughts are on that. Anyways, guys, that's the end of the video here. If you like what you've seen today, hit that like button, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Drop me a comment down below on what you think, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.